Let's talk to Julia. Now, Julia has been a celebrant for a little while. She first started training with us back in 2020 during COVID. Saw it as an opportunity to get in there and do something that she enjoyed. She tells us that she's been in media for a long time, actually, in media advertising for over 12 years, I believe. She can correct me once she jumps on
Yeah.
if that's incorrect, but I believe it's been over 12 years. And then she saw an opportunity, as many of you have, and as many of you are thinking about, in taking the skills that she had and the enjoyment that she had with connecting with people, speaking with people, being in front of people, articulating love, basically, and decided to study becoming a celebrant. Now, she says that she did it at a time when, and we're going to ask her about how she balanced all of this, did it at a time when she just had a newborn baby, and but was still excited enough and realized that she could balance the time enough that she could get through the course and reach the goal that she had. We'll ask her more. We'll get her talking ASAP so that you're not just listening to me longer than you need to. So welcome, Julia. Jules, we can call her Jules, she says on her website, which is
Yes,
great.
hello everyone. Hi, thank you for taking time out of your day to hear my story.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I just went off.
Can't hear you.
Yeah. I was muted along with everyone else.
Oh, there we go. You're unmuted now. Thank goodness.
All right. Hi, everyone. Honestly, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to my story and my journey on becoming a celebrant. Honestly, it's a great way to break up the week and meet some new faces. It's one of the reasons why I love the wedding industry. It's networking with such beautiful people like yourselves. But yes, following on from what Nate was saying, I got into being a celebrant by wanting to upskill somewhere in my life. And I at the time, I wasn't quite sure where. It was locked down, and my newborn was sleeping a little bit during the day, and I felt like I could use my time towards something that would benefit me. You know, whether that would be the same next time around, like in this day and age, I'm not sure, but it was a really unique time in, all of our lives. So along with another friend, that prompted a Facebook post saying, does anyone know any good celebrant courses that I could do? I said, hey, I'm thinking about this as well. And we both looked into Rose training and we both signed up together. So having that friend along on the journey at the very start was very helpful. But both of our journeys to becoming a celebrant looked very, very different from the get-go. Let's just say that. So even though we signed up at the same time, the way that we studied part-time on the course, the length of time at which it took both of us to finish the course was very different, and the way that we entered into the industry was so different. And I guess that's a testament to how everyone's lives, that work-life balance can really impact, and just how Celebrant looks different to, I guess, each individual. So for me, being a celebrant is a bit of a side hustle. It's something that I definitely look to do full time. It would be an absolute life goal to be completely immersed in the wedding industry and to talk to couples, work on my admin and do weddings every week full time. So that's definitely something I'm working towards. But yes, for the most part, I do have a Monday to Friday working in media and advertising. I do, weddings on the weekend. I also meet couples throughout the week and on weekends as well, on non-wedding weeks. And I'm a parent to a 5-year-old and pregnant, due in July. So a lot going on. But to be honest, when people ask me, like, how do you balance it all? It's because everything that I'm working towards is something that gives me joy, something that I love. And honestly, when I am talking to new couples, whether it's introducing myself for a first date, really seeing if we align or if we're the right fit for each other, or whether I am present at their wedding, it does not feel like work. It actually gives me energy. It gives me so much happiness to be part of the best day of their lives. And I'm so, so happy that I pushed myself to complete the Rose training course, because there was a time when I was just going to give up. But my baby started crawling, she started moving. I said, wow, I can't actually continue studying and looking after my baby at the same time. But funny story, like before I was going to give up and just kind of let go of the course, thinking there's just no way I'm going to finish this, I called up one of the trainers and the mentors because, you know, even though it's online, I knew there was that kind of hands-on, you know, leadership that I could lean into. And I just said to him, I don't know how I'm going to do this. You know, I've already paid all these extra months above and beyond the 12 months dedicated to finishing the course. I don't know how this is going to happen. And he inspired me by just giving me a realistic snapshot by saying, once you finish this, you are going to make bookings that is going to make up for, you know, the costs that you've paid for this course, even the additional costs that you've paid by not completing it on time. And he was right. I managed to sign up to the in-person training day where we finished all of the ceremonies in person, and we filmed it, and we were able to support each other. We were able to practice real-life ceremonies with an expert of the industry, and just having that experience to be able to finish the course, be amongst peers in person, having that opportunity to attend that day with Rose Training as well, to finish the section. Is it section 5? It's been a little bit
Still
long now.
it's still cluster 5. Yep.
Cluster 5.
Yep.
Having that option to do that in person was a godsend, honestly. So I do encourage that if anyone's thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to film all these ceremonies on my own? That is an option that really helped me. And then getting to that finish line, you know, applying to the Attorney General's office to be a celebrant was, you know, so satisfying. And I guess that's a little bit about how I managed it at the beginning. Little did I know it would lead into a whole new world.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get to that in a moment, and we'll work our way back. So obviously, we want to hear about your maths, your married at first sight experience.
Okay, we're all here.
But not yet. Well, tell us in a moment. Like, let's get excited for that soon. Like I know personally, I've worked in some reality TV shows, and it's quite a different sort of setting. You know, I can talk about that on my own time. But it's all about you today, Julia. But yeah, well, let's start with. Just give us a quick answer on why you chose celebrancy. What did you see in your own life or in your own personality or what have you that said like, oh, yeah, I'd make a good celebrant?
So I was always that friend that, you know, that was approached to be MC for my friend's wedding. So it didn't actually start with celebrancy. It started with me being the MC for my friend's wedding receptions. You know, at the time we had a lot of destination weddings. I was fortunate to be MC for my friend's wedding in Thailand, in Bali, and in Melbourne. And it was just such a great way to, I guess, introduce myself to how, you know, those events operated in the back end. It's not just about having that confident friend who's able to kind of get up in front of hundreds of people and, you know, follow a script. But I also learned that it's a role that has very much to do with each of the suppliers and organization of the reception itself. So that's how I was kind of introduced to the wedding industry. And I thought to myself, how is there a more formal way to kind of have me as a must at your wedding? Because, you know, MCs are optional, I guess, for a lot of friends and family. And after friends and family are all married, then how do you be part of weddings? And, you know, someone suggested, you know, being a celebrant, you know, is a legal requirement. And that opens the door to then saying, I also have this additional service of MC as well. So that's kind of where it prompted me. That's
interesting because, it is actually at the moment, Julia, like, as you may know, and we had a wedding, Easy Weddings report last week, a webinar the week before, and they spoke about about couples looking for MCs as a tag on to their wedding ceremony. So they're looking for celebrants that can also do MC work. It's interesting to see you came from the opposite direction, MC, and then into celebrancy. But I was at a wedding expo on the weekend, and I would say 80% of the cards that I picked up from celebrants as I went around and talked had celebrant and MC. So it's definitely, that's something to think about if that inspires you, and you feel like that's something you students or those prospective celebrants consider MC work as well, and developing those skills, because that'll just give you extra income on the same day you're already doing a wedding. So how's that worked out for you, Julia?
So
Are you finding that
it's
you're doing
definitely
well enough?
helped when booking in couples and looking to do this more full time and kind of reduce my Monday to Friday job. It does help look at finances in a way with going, okay, the more I book a Celebrant and MC package, the more I'm on track to understanding how I can make this more of a lifestyle. And the benefits to, I guess, doing this more full time is the flexibility in choosing my hours. You know, we get to have more flexibility when we're meeting couples. Obviously, you know, weekend work helps balance out, you know, family dynamics, especially when you've got school pickups and drop offs. So that's a huge appeal for me personally. But I guess it's more than just especially if you're traveling for a wedding. You know, a ceremony will take, you know, about half an hour, 45 minutes. You're in and you're out. If you're already at the destination, you know, sometimes it is worth staying there for the reception, especially when travel time is involved. So, uh, the other thing I would kind of mention is they are two very different roles. Just because you love being a celebrant might not also translate to mean that you love being an MC. And there's a few reasons like that I do share with my couples that when I'm trying to talk to them and introduce myself as a celebrant, we're obviously talking through how to curate and sculpt a really warm and meaningful, you know, ceremony that's personalized to them. I go through the whole requirements of when they're walking down the aisle all the way to when I'm pronouncing them husband and wife and everything in between. I'm holding their hand through, you know, completing the legal documentation and crafting their ceremony. And then once we kind of chat through that, then I say when I shift into MC mode, it is then all about me making sure that I'm managing their event accordingly so that we're sticking as close to the run sheet as possible. I'm helping them shape their run sheet to a final version that they can share with all their suppliers. And again, it's about bringing the vibe, it's bringing the energy, managing guest expectations, but then also working behind the scenes with all the suppliers so that they know what's happening as well. So it is a little bit about being addicted to that organized fun,
Yeah,
being that person that couples can rely on, that vendors can rely on, but also knowing your boundaries and it's not your event. You're not the person that everyone wants to hear from as an MC. It's about injecting energy at the right times and then taking a back seat to let everyone just enjoy the moment.
yeah,
Because no one wants
nice.
that person talking all the time on the
No,
microphone as an MC. Whereas ceremony, you're the one who's got the majority of the speech that's
yes,
holding the crowd.
yeah,
So
yeah,
two very separate roles, very, very important that you're able to switch between the two and you let couples know that that's what you're offering, and that's what you're bringing to the table. Because, you know, I know myself, you know, I always tell them I had my best friend as an MC at my wedding, but he didn't have the wedding experience to kind of make sure I was going through the run sheet and making sure no stone was left unturned. So I guess a big reason why I'm passionate about being involved in my couple's wedding in such a personalized, detailed way, because I don't want them to make mistakes that I made. For example,
right.
I missed my whole first dance with my father because there was no one that was around me when I was planning my wedding to say, have you thought about scheduling a first dance with your father after your first dance as husband and wife? That was just never brought up. No one thought about it. I didn't have anyone on my bridal team who was really experienced to kind of think about all these things. So one of the things that I do when I'm sitting with my couples is I make sure that they think of every single thing when we meet so that when they're on the day, you know, present, happy, and in the moment, that they know that previously they've thought of everything before. And
Yeah,
that's just something I'm so passionate about. And that does come with experience. You know, with every wedding I do, I pick up new things. You know, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? I have recently had a couple who said, Julia, I want to do a photo rush challenge where the DJ puts on one song, and in that song, I want you to invite all the guests, like each table at a time, to come and take a photo with us on the dance floor. And that way, they've had a photo with everyone in their wedding in one song. So it's an
Yeah,
interactive,
that's
fun
great.
game. I had never done it before, but now that that's under my belt, sometimes when I feel like it's right to recommend it, I'll say, have you thought of a photo rush challenge before? And that's something
This,
that you might
yeah, no, this is
bring.
great. You're actually answering a question. I think you're helping to answer a question that our first question that we got, which was from Sharon, which is saying, I'm interested in adding MC into my repertoire. What's the best way to learn and go about it? And obviously, as Jules is saying, experience is the best education. But unfortunately, sometimes we don't have the experience and we want to get into it. So, how's our first one? Well, what I'm gathering from you, Jules, is like just educating yourself. I mean, if you want to be a writer, you've got to read first, right? And so you've just got to educate yourself on what is out there, what the start up for me, I'd say start with the typical, ceremony template or sorry, wedding template, like do the checklist and then get to really understand the couple and what they want beyond that, right?
I think so. And also just be inquisitive. So if
Mm.
you're attending a wedding as a guest, I used to listen to the MC. I used to get my phone out and write down sentences or script that he would say. I said, that's a really nice vibe. I'm going to write
Yeah.
that down and remember that. There are wedding videos online. I mean, you're not always, it's not always, you're not everyone is in a position where they attend weddings. I'm certainly dwindling when it comes to attending friends and family weddings. So I'm at a stage now where a lot of the events I go to are the ones that I'm working at. But yeah, you definitely need to find inspiration beyond your own weddings, and even just asking. I remember at the beginning asking friends and family, or even couples that I'm meeting for the first time, what have you liked your from looking at celebrants or looking at MCs in the past? Do you remember some really interesting ways that they said, you know, this is like we would prefer you not to use phones for the ceremony. Please make sure they're switched off. Like, what are some fun ways that you've heard it as a guest that has really resonated with you? And, a couple have said, I really like it when celebrants say, just a reminder that this is an unplugged ceremony. So please make sure your devices are turned off and put away. Like, it's just really straight to the point, but a really fun way to say, get rid of your phone.
Yeah,
So
right on.
you can always have an idea of what you think sounds good, and works well. But the great thing about being a celebrant and MC is that you'll always have a new opportunity the next time to change it up. Check the vibe, and something that works for one wedding might not work for another wedding. Everyone's different. Friends and family, set up different vibes for different weddings. And I guess part of it is working on the spot to pick that up, and really go with the flow.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, so let's talk about your history in celebrancy. I want to know about your very first. Well, your first wedding was with your friend, right? You said you
Yeah,
married a friend. Well, it's like, what were the? You may not have been as nervous. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me otherwise.
I
Being
have
that
so
it was a
many
friend.
stories.
Yeah. I want to know like
um,
what I want to so that students can or those that are considering it can understand. Like you're gonna have the nerves. It's gonna be a first where you're
oh,
gonna
yeah.
wonder. But how was it for you? How did you get through it and then get to a point where you realized the learning curve? You got through the learning curve basically into a
Mhm.
point where you're a confident celebrant.
I'll tell you about, like, I've got so many examples I want to share. I guess I was very fortunate that my very first legal ceremony was with two really good friends who wanted a really intimate ceremony with family, immediate family, and then they invited their friends after to join them for a drink. So immediately it was less pressure than performing in front of 200 people for my first ceremony. So I was very lucky to have really test out my skills with my friends in terms of how I interview the couples, how I create their ceremony script, and then performing it was in front of the immediate family, felt very comfortable, very natural, and I immediately got on this huge high that, confirmed this is 100% what I want to be investing my time and energy into. So that was a really nice experience, but I quickly learned that after being a certified celebrant, a lot of my friends and family were already married, so it wasn't like I could rely on them to book
Can
me
cruise on that
to get
verse, yeah,
my career going in that. So, Easy Weddings actually reached out for me. I think they really keep a really strong, keen eye on the Rose training graduates, and they really
do they?
help us transition into how to set up, I guess, our profile online. I was really hesitant at first because I thought, I have a background in advertising. I really can, utilize my own skill set to setting up my own brand and profile in the industry. But little did I know at the time how heavily couples these days in Australia rely on these websites and these resources to find suppliers. And Easy Weddings was a really good idea to sign up to from the get-go, because I started getting inquiries from couples, which was such a thrill at the time. People you don't even know coming to you and saying, I want to understand what your services are, what's your quote, this is the date of my wedding, this is the location, and just starting to see leads which you wouldn't have otherwise reached by being a brand new celebrant. So I did find it to be a very reliable and helpful platform at the beginning of my career. And I thought to myself, what else is out there beyond Easy Weddings? I looked at wedding diaries, and you can just look up when you say Sydney Celebrant, Adelaide Celebrant, Melbourne Celebrant, you can see on the SEO and Google, what are the top sites that come up. And generally, if that's coming up for you, they're pretty good areas to kind of look at. So once I did my first couple, which was friends and close friends, I was also booking couples I'd never met on the side through these, listings. So I do highly recommend looking into that, whilst you're also setting up your own socials, Instagram, Facebook, your website. That takes time as well. So you don't necessarily have all of that to go off. And especially when you don't have a library of past weddings and photos that you can use to say, hey, I've been a part of all these weddings, book me. Having these listings and having their helping hand in setting up your page, forcing you to really think about, how you want to position yourself. What do you want to call yourself? It just helps prompt you along the way. So,
well, that's a good, So while you're talking about that, make sure any students, if you want to follow Jules, and I recommend you do, check out Married by Julia on Instagram. And that's your preferred social media platform, it seems, and you're in media advertising. So would you recommend, is that the most sort of, efficient bang for buck, even though there's no expenditure?
Definitely Instagram is one of the main platforms that couples go to for wedding inspiration. I have made some mistakes in my setting up. I'm happy to talk through them with anyone who'll listen. But basically, I set myself up as Julia Carlino Celebrant when I first started. I wanted to expand beyond weddings. I didn't want to just be you go online. A lot of people are called Married by Julia. And I was like, I want to be different. I want to do corporate events. I had big visions of being everywhere all at once. So I didn't want to pigeonhole myself to just weddings. But the reality is, I think the more direct you are with people trying to find you, the better it is for your lead generation. So eventually I was like, Married by Julia, even though a lot of celebrants are called Married by name, I'm going to lean into this. I rebranded, and that rebrand cost me a lot because people were still clicking to my old Instagram account. It was linked up on my website. It was linked up on Easy Weddings. It was linked up everywhere. I forgot to change a few leads where it mentions where to follow me. And okay. I think just really, I should have just taken the time at the beginning rather than just diving right in to understand, how are people going to find me? What's my Instagram and social handles? What's my website name? What's my email name? Because once I changed my Instagram handle, it affected my inbox as well. I had to change my inbox over from Julia Carlino Celebrant to Married by Julia and it was just so much admin involved. So I do not recommend changing your brand name halfway through. Really figure it out, stick to it. Again, I had a phobia of just being pigeonholed to weddings, but at the end of the day, that's where I need to be. So actually defining myself as Married by Julia has actually helped in the end, rather than trying to say, I'm available for corporate events and I'm available for non-wedding events like baby showers and christenings. But unfortunately, weddings is where people are booking you.
Yeah.
especially when they don't know you. So that's just a little learning I found. But
Yeah. Right.
I know I spoke about the first wedding of a friend. The other, I'll just talk to a couple of examples of my first few weddings where the main thing I picked, 3 lessons I learned. And one of them was from that Rose Day training in person when we were doing the ceremonies. I'll never
Yep.
forget one of my first weddings. I told everyone to please stand as the bride was coming down the aisle. And we did learn this. Rose training did tell me, don't forget to say, you may now sit before you start the ceremony. I forgot to say that, and the crowd was standing for halfway throughout the whole ceremony until the mum says, can we please sit down now?
Julia, look, you're not alone, and Jean can testify to this. But before my first wedding, she reminded me, and I did mine in Vanuatu on a ship, and it was my friends, and she reminded me. She said, "Now don't forget to tell them to sit down," and I forgot. And so yeah, you're not alone.
It
It's actually
honestly happens
common.
to the best of us. I
Yeah.
thought, who does that? Of course, you're going to tell
I
them.
think everyone must, Julia. I've mentored many, many graduates, and the last phone call to me the day before the wedding is to check their script is right, which I do, and always say, you've got a script, please sit, or you're going to forget it. And the last mentoree that I had actually called me back the afternoon of the wedding to say, do you know what I did? And I said, you didn't tell them to sit, did you? She said, no, I didn't. And then she went on to explain to the guests seated that her mentor had told her she needed to put, please sit. So for any students that get their scripts marked as incorrect and you think we're being pedantic, it is so important to trust in our experience as Julia is painting. Yeah, it's very easy to forget those things if you don't script it.
Yeah,
No.
absolutely. And I think it just comes from a place where it's obviously a formal event and people are like, it, you become so familiar being at people's ceremonies and people's weddings, but it's not a commonality for a lot of people. So they are relying on the celebrant to tell them what to do, how to behave, you know, what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do. So it is really important to really get that housekeeping up front to manage people's expectations, both for the ceremony and for the MC. It's just people don't want to do the wrong thing. So I can't believe
No.
I fell into that trap, but you know what? I never did it again.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? You're going to make mistakes when you go out there.
Yeah. Another
With,
mistake, I guess, was really trying to be so modern in my approach where I wanted the couple to shine on, and this is another couple. I wanted really for the bride and groom to shine on their wedding day. And I was like, I'm not going to be one of those celebrants that stands in the middle. I'm going to stand to the side so that, everyone's looking at them. And that's my point of difference. That's going to be my approach. This couple had so many people in their bridal party that I stood so far to the side that I don't know if anyone could even see me. But I thought, no, this is my point of difference. And I look back at their wedding video now, and I look back at maybe, all the different weddings that I've been a part of, and I was like, yeah, I stood way too far to the side. Like, at the end of the day, I am the celebrant. I am hosting this crowd. I am talking to them for the most part of it. Like, even if it's not standing behind them, I do have the authority in the place to be somewhere that is central to where everyone can see you. So it was a learning curve of just like, where is the right place to stand? And I did feel like the pressure of going, I don't, what's wrong, what's right, but it does, like with every wedding you do, it does come more naturally. And you talk to the couples beforehand. Is there any icks? Is there anything that you don't like? And most of the time, they're just like, as long as you're not standing in the middle of us when we have our first kiss, which is obviously a big celebrant no-no, always stand to the side
yes.
for that kiss shot. Massive rule. I think you do have a place to be,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
front and
100%.
center, but be somewhere where you are able to be seen as the main speaker.
Yeah. Something
And
something we tell our celebrants. I remember saying this in a past webinar, A Day in the Life. We talk about positioning yourself as basically thinking about what the photographer wants. What's going to make the best shots. And so, of course, when you're performing the ceremony, it's that nice little triangle that way. But then, yes, when you do the kiss or when you're doing the signing, make sure that, you step into the side and you're you're just basically getting out of the way of the best shots, the best photos. That's an easy way to think about it. Did you have something, Jean? Because
the other really important thing too, and Julia's really brought up some great things to consider, is when you're standing to the side, the couple are looking at each other, but when you talk, do they turn and look at you or do they look at each other? And are the guests looking at the couple or are they looking at the celebrant? And are the bridal party looking at the celebrant or are they focused? So you're moving everyone's focus away from that little triangle at the front. So if you stay to the front, everybody is focused on the bride and groom and they can easily just turn to look at you and turn back to each other and turn to the guests that are seated. And of course, getting out of the way then for the vows and the personal vows and the kiss, very important.
very important. Yeah. Okay, so I know I'm wary of time that we're talking well, and I want to get to.
Am I still up to my first few weddings?
Yeah, I know. Well, there's so much. We'd love to have you keep talking all day, and I know that you have to go pretty much right on time, and we want to leave some time open for people to actually ask questions live. But let's talk about your journey into because it is exciting being on a television show. I've been there before. I was on Family Feud once, and my team got a big 0. But yeah, if anyone remembers, back in 2015, I think we were on. We got a lot of laughs. That was about it. But I know it's an exciting sort of environment. But what was it that sort of led you on that? What was the journey from becoming a celebrant, like starting your study in 2020, taking another 10 months beyond the actual completion date, and then becoming a celebrant that is, I guess, worthy, for lack of a better word, but at least seen as someone that could perform on television and not fall apart, or at least someone that had that standard, a standard that could be caught on camera and showcase himself in that way. So how did that happen and what led you there?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know exactly what it was because you'll go on my Instagram, Married by Julia. I don't have a lot of followers, right? So I'm like, how did they find me? And all I can think of, I have to ask the casting producer, but I got an email one day saying, "Hi, Julia, we're looking for a celebrant to appear on a TV show. We can't say what the show name is, but would you be interested?" Obviously, there's not a lot of TV shows out there that require a celebrant. So I knew straight away it was Married at First Sight. But really, I do put it down to being listed on platforms like Easy Weddings, like Wedding Diaries. I just think that the wedding industry is a really supportive one, and the producers were in there looking for their 12th season. So they were probably really well experienced in really finding celebrants. And the reason why they get actual celebrants, I feel, is because it's one less person for them to worry about on set when they're trying to control the uncontrollable with the families, with the bride and groom. At least they know with the celebrant, it's a familiar setting to us. We're used to kind of navigating our way through vows, personal vows, and, the beginning to end of the procession. And managing that. So they really do rely on our expertise for the show. And I really like how they also support real celebrants as well, because a lot of the questions I get is, why don't they just get an actor? So I do think this show does like to lean into the wedding industry, as well as making sure that they have a professional that is one less person to worry about. So I do think that they found me on my listings rather than just come across my Instagram randomly. I just think they're just well versed in that. So they probably saw my new profile pop up. Oh, this is someone new that we could get on for the next season. I did have to jump through a few hoops to kind of apply. They wanted to see a video to see how I, translated on camera I had a friend help me out with this. And after finishing the course, I go, oh my gosh, here we go, another video I have to submit. But I guess you'll never stop getting asked. Even now, couples are asking me, I know you have a lot of photos, but do you have any video of you at ceremonies or emceeing so I can see how you translate? Because obviously how I present in like a Q&A or, you know, over a video call is a very different way to how I present as a celebrant and then how I present as an MC. So video is a huge part, I guess, of being in a service that is about you.
That's brilliant. I mean, to that point, as a tip to those that are recent or considering becoming celebrants, we did talk to another celebrant a while ago. I remember Luke, can't remember his last name, but he said that he has an introduction video on his website. So when you go on there, because he realizes that, you know, when he first became a celebrant, he didn't have wedding videos. He couldn't showcase what he had done in the past, but he had an introduction. Hi, my name is, and he showed how he could articulate. He showed his flamboyancy or whatever it is he wanted to showcase. So there are tricks, you know, take headshots, all these sort of things when you're a new celebrant that don't have a lot of videos or photos. There are things that you can do. So don't be despondent. Like, find ways, go and take some pictures in a botanical garden, whatever it takes.
Highly recommend. I've lost bookings to not being able to provide enough video for couples when it's such a competitive world. But back to maths, I guess I'm fortunate to appear on Married at First Sight season 12. I married Adrian and Athena, if anyone is a fan and watched it. And then this season, just recently at the Opera House, I married Julia and Grayson. So it was really nice to return. It was the first time they filmed at the Opera House in all 13 seasons, so a really special location. But I don't understand why, for a production that is so well known for having such incredible florals and styling, like the first wedding I did, the styling was way more extravagant than any real wedding I had been to. I was just blown away by the budget. And then the Opera House had not one flower at the ceremony. I think they wanted to rely on the grandiose of the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge with the drone footage, but I was like, I could just be standing here and say I'm on maths. Like, what is the point of difference with the TV show? But it was nice to use it as a marketing, I guess, tool for when I'm getting my couples who are looking to book me, to say, you know, watch out for me. I'll be on Married at First Sight. Obviously, I guess people getting married are also very immersed in wanting to know and consume anything to do with weddings. But at the same time, I haven't booked someone because I've been on maths. So I did read an article once that said, you know, couples don't want to pay like that reality TV tax, you know, to have someone at their wedding these days. And I'm like, oh no, does me saying I'm on maths mean that maybe couples don't want to book me because they think I'm charging higher because I was on a reality show? So you're constantly reevaluating every time a sales lead comes through. What's working, what's not.
I wasn't sure if it was yourself or Ro that just called me earlier.
That's okay. There we go. Sorry, I didn't know if that was to me or not. I'm constantly evaluating, gosh, is me plugging maths too much, costing me my couples wanting to sign up? Is my price too high? So it is fun to do. It is really great to say I was on the show. It's an amazing experience being mic'd up. And listen, the biggest question I get, are they real weddings? Absolutely not. We are not signing a notice of intended marriage. We are not submitting any type of documentation to births, deaths, and marriages. And I am not saying the monotum in these weddings at all. So it is a commitment ceremony. They do call it an experiment because they are going through the ceremony, like they are going through an actual like commitment ceremony. They're going off to have a reception, a honeymoon. So it's like a simulation. It's like really getting them in all those like stages and obviously condensed amount of time, but they're definitely not legally married.
Yeah, so for those of you who have not started the course or are not to that point yet, there needs to be a month's notice. And because they're getting married at first sight, obviously there's not a month's notice. So that's why Julia's saying what she's saying there, that they actually can't be. So they're commitment ceremonies. And to answer a question that someone had recently about my Vanuatu one, that was a commitment ceremony, and we did the legals back in Australia on land. So you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so how was that? That was an exciting experience?
Yeah,
Did
it's a
you
day
learn it? Was it?
shooting. It's like
Yeah.
9:30 to 2:30.
Mm.
They don't put celebrants on multiple weddings, so they've learned over the seasons that viewers are not that smart. So if they're viewing Married at First Sight, then they'll see a celebrant, and then they'll see a celebrant again for another wedding. They're like, wait, what episode am I up to? And so they realize, just to stop confusing viewers, one celebrant per couple. So I was so excited. I said, put me on everything. Put me as the MC. Put me on more couples. And they're just like, no, it's obviously not about us. As much as I see when the couples, the footage goes live after it's aired, I'll look into the comments to be like, has anyone noticed the celebrant? Are they saying anything? I'm like, even though I have an approved script, I'm like, am I going to be the villain here? But no, it's just fun to appear in, meet the couples on the day, look at their nerves firsthand. You know, Adrian and Afina were absolutely chaotic, and it was like the first wedding, first scene. They were already crazy, whereas Julia and Grayson seemed a little bit more normal.
Right. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so look, we've got a few questions that have come through. And there's some questions that are ahead of the ones that I'm asking, because we'll come back to them. They might not be as pertinent to you, Jules. So we'll come back to those ones if you're asking a question about the rose training, ceremonies, etc. So someone's asking, I'm not sure if you quite answered this, but you were talking about easy weddings. You're talking about wedding diaries. Celebrant Society is another one. But the plug there is to basically, we're not as rose training, we can't recommend anyone over another. But there's a huge recommendation to go and be a part of organizations. I'm recently registered. Where can I get resources to help with questions for couples and a checklist? Are there opportunities to shadow and help successful celebrants in the process? I have a background in health. Do I pay someone to create a profile for me? I feel stuck. So this is from Mel. So she's asking lots of questions. It's great. If we pull just one or two, did you grab any of those that you could?
There's so many resources on hand that's available to celebrants, and the great thing is they're all online, so it's not like you need to have a resource available in your state to be able to be a part of it. The thing is, when you're first starting out, you're obviously looking at, starting from scratch. You've already spent money on, training to become a celebrant. You've paid the attorney generals to be certified and to be approved. And then you have to start looking at, okay, well, what are the necessities to start, being a celebrant? For me, it was looking at, I wanted stationery. I wanted a beautiful colored champagne stationery that I got made. I needed a Bose portable speaker stand, Sennheiser cordless microphone. They were the must to actually perform the job. So once you kind of look at, what are the non-negotiables that we need to set up, it was looking at the equipment. It was looking at, ordering your Form 16s online, your stationery, making sure that no matter what situation, you could perform beginning to end a ceremony. Then you start looking at, okay, so what are the other costs I need to involve? Because unfortunately, signing up to all these different, services require a membership fee, whether it's a monthly fee, whether it's a one-off cost. You're not booking yet. So you have to really decide what your budget is to really, what can you afford to set up? And, they all perform different things. So wedding diaries is a monthly fee. Wedding diaries is an annual fee. Easy Weddings is a monthly fee. Celebrant Society is a monthly fee, and they all perform, as I said, different functions. So whether they're advertising only, whether it's a platform to get new sales leads where couples are already naturally going to find their vendors and suppliers, or whether it's something like Celebrant Society, which is a networking opportunity for you to have your insurance liability covered. It's a way to be part of social forums to ask other professionals questions that you need answered at the beginning of your time. That's when you're kind of, it's like fish out of water from rose training, and you're into real life and you think you've got all the grounds covered, and then a really unique situation pops up, like, what's an example that I had? I think it's like, very easily you'll get all walks of life from, my wife is overseas but won't come back until this date, but I want to meet up with you. When do we need the paperwork signed? All of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, this is what we learned in Rose training, but like now this is a real life scenario, and kind of leaning into someone that is a network of professionals like the Celebrant Society is a great way to jump online, ask the questions, and have immediate responses back from people who actually have been in that spot before and can tell you the answers straight away. So there's, of course, also free resources to help boost your profile, like Wedshed, which is a Facebook community. There's so many ways, I guess, to connect with professionals, to get listed online, whilst also working on the things that you need to do in the meantime. Like I said, your website, your Facebook profile, your Instagram. It can be overwhelming, but you just have to do what's best for you, that's within your budget, that you think that you want to focus on immediately. So if being part of more of a networking with professionals type community is more important than really boosting your profile at the beginning, then you might lean towards something like a Celebrant Society. But if you're like, I just want to go, I want to start getting leads, I'm feeling good about this, then maybe just get listed and start getting couples inquire. So I don't know if that answers your question. Definitely, there's a lot out there. We're not even talking about everything that's available. So it's, I guess it's just doing your research and just really understanding where you're happy to invest in. And not everything is an investment. Not everything is locked in. You can trial something and maybe go, you know what, I've trialed it for 3 months, 3 to 6 months. I want to change it up and maybe look elsewhere. So don't be afraid to do that as well.
Okay, thanks, Jules. Kim asks, I hope that helped Mel. I don't know if we were able to answer everything, but there's so much in there, but there's so many resources out there, Mel. Kim asks, do you find couples are hesitant to book newly certified celebrants who haven't had any experience? If so, what are ways to overcome that concern? So you had a friend firstly, but then how did you book your second one? How did that come about, and how did you sell yourself?
It is definitely about yourself, but can I just say, so many couples are driven by price. I locked in so many weddings as a new celebrant because my price was under $1,000. And it was more it was just really like, yes, you're new, but I see that as a benefit because I'm saving myself probably $300 by getting someone new. I can see that you're confident and competent when I talk to you. So I'm just happy to have you. And whilst they didn't say that, I actually saw more traction when my price was cheaper and I was newer than when I'm more experienced and a little bit more expensive, because that comes with a whole another set of requirements for couples. So I guess when you're open about being new, and that's why I include my 12 years of advertising experience, which is now 15 because I signed up a few years ago and I haven't changed my marketing collateral. There you go. It's very important to keep up to date. But I was open. I go, listen, I have 12 years experience in the advertising industry, presenting, working with clients. That's why I have a passion. And I've had, a few, I've had the, opportunity to be part of weddings, as MC. And now it's time for me to really lean into being a celebrant, which is something I'm so passionate about. I'm really confident in being that person for you on your wedding. And it's about having those intro calls. So I always, no matter what couple, I always give them the option to have a first date, as I like to call it, with me. Let's set up a time to introduce myself, answer any questions you may have, and see if we're the right fit for each other. And then normally they'll come back and say, yes, I'd be happy to meet with you and my partner. Does this time work? And then I use that time to really talk to them about what I like to offer for ceremonies, how I like to tailor, their story, personalize it for them, really talk to the way that not one of my couple's ceremonies can be reused for another, because that's how much I take the time to really make sure that it is about them. I steer away from generic, I guess, love general quotes or poems, and really look to other ways to really make it feel like I'm curating something that's special for their wedding day. And some of the best feedback I get is, are you a friend of theirs? And I'm like, no, I'm their celebrant. They're like, because the way you spoke about them was like you've known them for years, which is what I love hearing, because that way I've like really captured the essence and you know, the remarks of that couple when I'm sitting down and I'm like interviewing them in a way, and I'm getting all their quirks as a couple, and I'm really saying it back to their friends and family as if I'm part of their crew, not just a third person or a third party, telling them and responding to them in a way that, you know, is unrecognizable. For example, if we're referencing someone's grandma, I'm like, what do you call grandma? And they're like, I call her Nonna. I'm like, well, I'm going to put in Nonna, because if I say grandma, they're going to say, who calls her that? We don't call her that. And it's just in those little details that helps personalize the ceremony. But that was just my approach from the start. I guess the difference at the beginning, you know, people are very sold in yourself. So that intro call, that video call, even if you do an intro video for your website or for your page, often helps a lot. You don't need to have a lot of like images. I used stock images on my website at the beginning because I had no images of me. I got headshots done, but I quickly learned that, you know, once you have one or two weddings, you connect with the photographers, you ask them to send through your photos. And I always make sure that the photographers get a photo of me and my couple on my iPhone, so I'm not waiting 6 weeks for the professional photos. It's just being really on top of getting content as often and as quickly as you can to update your collateral. But, you know, as my prices have increased over the years, so do the demands of my couples. So really, when you're increasing your price, they want to see more evidence. They want to see more videos of you doing your thing. They want to see more examples of your ability to prove yourself in different ways. And that's where I'm lacking at the moment, because my life is so busy, and kind of keeping up to date with social media has been really on the back end of things. So I really, off the back of, you know, this wedding season, I've got, you know, April. I'm really booked right up until end of April. And then May, June, July, that winter season is normally a calm period for me. And that's where I'm really looking to amp up my social so that I can really back my pricing for the next set of inquiries that I'm going to get. So it's always on. It's never ending. Don't be afraid to be a new celebrant and put yourself out there, but make sure your price does reflect that. Make sure that what you're offering clients and what they're expecting from you is on par with what they're happy to pay. Whilst you also want to be like, well, the standard for my state is X amount of dollars. Be realistic with what you're happy to accept while you're setting up your business as well. And also, while also not cutting yourself short. So I guess even though I was giving a cheap price for my clients, if it was, you know, a destination wedding that was maybe 3 hours out of Sydney, I was making sure to say it will be accommodation on top. Because why would I do a wedding and then pay for accommodation out of my own pocket just to get the experience, when maybe I could book a wedding in my, like, closer to my city instead. So you do have to think about what your boundaries are when you begin. And then the more experience you get, the more you're able to put your boundaries down and say, actually, my cost also includes travel and it includes accommodation, you know. And you get more confident with the more weddings you do, but certainly up front, it is a little bit of a dance trying to figure out what you're happy to do and what not to do.
Yeah, and be transparent from the start. So that's really, really good advice, Jules. Look, we're near the end of time. I know you have to jump onto another call. There was just one.
Probably have time for one more.
Cool. There's a comment from Kayleen who says, no question. question, but how could anyone not want you as a celebrant? You are amazing.
That's so sweet.
No, sorry, I think she's talking to me.
Oh.
No, she was definitely talking to you, Jules. But okay. There's one question, and I guess it's you almost segued into it anyway. But it's asking what you charge for weddings, and then someone else asked a little bit later, like how did the increase from when you started to what you charge now? Are you willing to talk about the actual?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've never put a price on my website and I've never put a price on my social media. Every inquiry, which I get through emails, through DMs, on my Instagram or messages through my website, is every opportunity to rebrand yourself. Obviously, pricing is so dependent on location. Ceremony location. And can I tell you, locations are everywhere. Even if I say I'm a Sydney celebrant, I have locations 3.5 hours radius, that I get offered. I've been offered Melbourne. I've been to Melbourne, for weddings. I've been to Greece for weddings. It's just so varied. So I really don't like to pigeonhole myself with a price publicly. And purely because it is varied, it is so varied. And I like to use every email that comes through as a new chance to really think about, okay, well, what position am I in at the moment? What am I happy to take? So it does fluctuate. And I do get nervous because I do second guess myself if a couple hasn't responded back, and so many of them don't respond, by the way. I just feel like they're emailing so many celebrants and so many suppliers that they're just casting a net over many, many people. And a lot of them, unfortunately, don't take the time to be like, sorry, we've gone through someone else. I have followed up and been like, is there any reason why? Have you booked someone? If you've gone with someone else, I'd love to know why. They just don't take the time to say, oh, we went with someone else because of price, or we went with someone else because of their vibe. I maybe get a handful of those emails back, which does help. But yes, I use every email as a new chance for me to assess what am I happy to take for this wedding. I look at the date, I look at what's going on in my life, I look at the location of the wedding, and I give them what I think I would be happy to lock in. So, my quotes over the years have varied between $750 to $1,700. Based on all those variables I've spoken about. I've even negotiated in ways where, the official marriage certificate, which celebrants can apply for on behalf of the couples to birth, cess and marriages, that's a $68 hard cost. Sometimes I'll say I'm happy to absorb that cost within my fee, but more so than often I'll say this is my fee plus the $68 certificate fee. And, there have been a handful of times where I've offered as well. I go, listen, I do need to charge accommodation on top, but I always try to find the most affordable accommodation in the area. I just need a room to sleep in. But, if I'm in there, especially as MC, which finishes, 11 p.m. at night, I'm not driving back to Sydney for 3 hours to save my couple's money. I need to think about what my requirements are as well. And they're generally on board when they book destination weddings, that's what they have to factor into their costs too. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have a set cost now. I did start around $750, $850, $900 within my first 20 weddings. And then I look to kind of, exceed that $1,000 mark for ceremonies. And then I also have been playing around with my packages as well for Celebrant and MC too. So I've charged up to $3,000 for a ceremony and MC package, and I've charged as little as $2,200 for a ceremony and MC package. But I really make sure to let them know everything that's included, and I like to give in little bonus things. Sometimes when I'm like, listen, I'll absorb the $68 hard cost for the certificate, which I apply for on your behalf. Or I also stay back and I help do the photo wrangling with your family photos. So give me a list of your family photos. I'll work with the photographer to help coordinate whilst I have the microphone. Mom, dad, brother, sister, come in this photo. Okay, bride's family, are we in next? And that really helps them consolidate, that part of their day. I help with the logistics so that they can enjoy that part, tick that off the list, and go and enjoy canapes and cocktails with their family and friends. And that's just an extra service I can do when I'm their celebrant only. Like, I'll stay back and do the family wrangling anyway, or it just helps them justify the cost of the celebrant and MC package as well. As well as just saying I help coordinate everything on the day as well. I'll be that person so that suppliers aren't coming to you. You're enjoying your wedding day, they can come to me. I know how to advocate for you. I've had someone from a venue go up to the bride and groom while they're eating their entrees going, I'm just going to turn the blinds up, just going to roll them up like 5 centimeters. Is that all right? I think the sun's coming in. I'm like, excuse me, can you not talk to the bride and groom about rolling up the blinds for 5 centimeters on their wedding day? Like, come to me. I'm that person that will coordinate on the day, that they can trust, they can rely on, so they know it's not just about what's on paper, it's what I'm doing behind the scenes for them too. And I make sure that they know that in my intro calls as well, and throughout the process. So, guys, I could talk so much about what I do, how I'm involved with couples. I think the great thing about being a celebrant and MC and being in the industry is that every chance is a new way to connect with new people. It's allowing yourself to build your brand. It's not putting that pressure on pigeonholing yourself of a certain price bracket or a certain service. You can change it up every single time. All the couples, they don't know each other. So it's a new way for you to, like, I guess, build yourself and build on your services and take, new experiences under your belt and really, make the most of it each and every time. So, yeah, I'm still changing and fluctuating my prices as I'm looking to have a second baby, go into a new mortgage. I'm like, maybe I'm just happy to take what I can get in that time and just, like, lower my price just to book more weddings. So it just changes, and that's the beauty about it. You can make it.
Great answer. Yeah, there's so many variables.
Lifestyle.
There's a lot of variables, and that you have to be conscious of, is what I'm hearing you say. And so it's really hard to just simply have a set price. Some celebrants do have a set price, and then they have plus X amount for as many miles as they have to travel. But as Jules is saying, there are so many variables. So many people maybe just want a very simple ceremony without all the bells and whistles, very sort of legal, strict ceremonies, and some people do want a lot of flamboyancy behind it, and there's a lot more effort behind it. So definitely that's a great way to go about it, if you're willing to do that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me, everyone. Follow me at Married by Julia on Instagram, and reach out if you have any questions. I'll be more than happy to get back to you when I get around to it. But best of luck on your celebrant journey. And it was really lovely to meet you all.
Oh, you're getting lots of love hearts and hand claps, Jules.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, we appreciate everyone. And if anyone has questions, or you put a question in Q&A, stick around and we'll answer those really quickly for you. Thank you again, Jules. Thank you so much for being here. We're so proud of you as one of our Rose alumni. So yeah, go out there and keep kicking butt. We really appreciate you as a celebrant out there.
Bye.
Represent.
Thanks, Julia.
Thank you.
See you, Jules. Okay, so for those that are still around, I know there's quite a few questions. We're having a quick drop-off of participants because I know it's past the lunch hour and some of you are in the middle of a work day. Some of you are still eating your noodles and are all right to stick around for a bit longer. But let's go real quickly from the top, the questions that we didn't get to. So quite a few people have asked about the in-person filming days, our ceremony days, Jean. So this one is asking about Sydney-based students. So what happens, guys, just to give you a very quick answer, is we look at who is up to cluster 5 and is either close to finishing their pre-ceremonies or have finished their pre-ceremonies, and then we send you out an email. Now, if you feel that you're at that stage and you haven't received an email, please reach out to us. Although
don't call the office. Don't call the office. No. Don't call the office, because if they're at that percentage, Nate, and there are none scheduled at the moment, but if they reach that percentage, they will receive an email when we have dates available.
Yes. So that's what happens.
So please don't call admin. We will reach out to you when you're at the right point in the course and we have dates available, and there are none scheduled at the moment.
No, none scheduled at the moment. So when it gets built up to be enough, That's when we do it. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't mean to imply call in. So um,
I think that probably answers quite a lot of
that answers quite a few of
questions.
those
Yeah.
ones about the in-person one. We try to do them as often as possible, but it
Yeah.
definitely means, but we have to have enough students to do it. If we flew Jean down to Melbourne, for example, and there was only one student, it's not really worth it.
Well,
But we
we
do,
actually need the 6 because we need a bride, a groom, and 2 witnesses
and that's
plus
the
the
other thing
celebrant.
too.
So we've got to
Yeah,
have the participants on the
we have all the
day. So
participants.
yeah, we usually do it every so often through the year. And as
Yeah.
Nate said, if you're at a certain percentage in your course, and that means that you've completed all your pre-ceremony stuff and you're ready to perform, then you would be on the list to get an invite to those days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Sorry if I missed a question. I'm trying to scroll through as quick as possible.
Yeah.
I realize the lunch hour is over. I know Jean's got a call.
Nate, there was one there that's really important that I'd like
Yep.
to answer before anyone leaves, and it was from somebody called SB. I don't know if you're a
Oh, I saw
graduate
that one.
or a
Yes. I wanted to
student.
answer that one. Yep.
SB, are you on still with us?
So yeah, it says SB says you just mentioned a celebrant needs to be given a week's notice. I don't know if that was misheard, but it's
No.
a month's notice.
Month's
Um,
notice for the
yeah,
notice of intended marriage.
yeah,
Everyone that's currently studying will know that, and you
yeah.
will have to know that at the end when you do your phone call. So there must be at least a month's notice. Now, that question was about what happens when the celebrant's not available or, has to cancel the day before or the day of. That notice of intended marriage can be transferred to the incoming celebrant.
Yes.
And that can be done by hand, that can be done by emailing. But the incoming celebrant must go about checking all of the evidence of date and place of birth and the evidence of ID. So the incoming celebrant must cite the passport or the birth certificate with driver's license before the couple are married. Okay, and that's how that works.
There's someone that did ask about the course ceremony, says, and it's anonymous participant. So if you want to send me, Nate, at rosetraining.com.au, let me know your name if you don't want to put it here because you got it anonymous, because you say
Sorry,
I'm finalizing
that
activity.
was by mistake. It was me, Sandra.
Oh, see, Sandra. Okay, hi,
Yeah,
Sandra.
I'm just sending an email now, Nate.
That's okay. Yeah, it says you're on activity 24. Is that am I on the right one there, or is it a different
Yeah,
one?
I've done that, and I'm just kind of like coming up to the end because I've had to extend.
Okay.
So I did everything that I could do and then left that till the very end.
Well, that's all right. I won't get into the technical about it now, but there's been a bit of course reshuffling. So I suspect, and I know where you're at. And so if you just send me an email and I'll help answer a question that'll help you to get to
Beautiful.
that.
And I'd be
next
happy
stage
to
of it.
travel interstate as well if needed.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hey, and
Yeah,
Nate,
there
we
might.
need to know who's on here who is not currently a celebrant that might have
Oh,
some
yeah. Is there anyone
questions
that's
to
a
ask.
student?
Do we have any people
Yeah.
thinking about doing the course? Yes, Carolyn. No, not you. No.
I'm a student. This is Miranda.
Hey, Miranda.
And I'm close to finishing. So I've done, I'm in class of 5, and I've done, I think half of my ceremonies. But I'm just finding out how to get an audience. I managed to do them over Christmas because I had family
What
visiting.
state are you in? Excuse me.
I'm
What
in
state?
Canberra, so Sydney
Okay.
would be best. Yeah. So I'm just, yeah.
So
We
Where?
don't have any dates. We
when
don't
you,
have any dates
Yeah.
coming up yet.
Miranda, when you say audience, do you mean your 20 persons or are you talking
No,
about
no, no. I know
participants?
that. No, I have one video which people are watching. I've
Okay,
sent the
good.
link. So that one is done. Just to finish I just
You
need
just mean participants.
participants. Sorry, not audience.
Ah,
Yeah.
I reckon you got a lot of family and friends. I reckon a lot of people like you, Miranda. I reckon you can.
Interstate. Anyway,
I don't know why, but you sound like a good cook. So I reckon you could probably do something for
I'm
them to get them on
trying.
board.
Yeah. Fingers crossed
Okay.
over the
I don't know.
long
I don't know why
weekend.
you're giving off a vibe of being able to cook. I don't know, but I reckon you'd
Yeah.
entice them with something, some treats.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah,
let's
no,
go
you
back
could.
to the original question then, Nate. Who
That
here,
was
so not
yep.
students, who here is
Anyone?
looking to start the course? Is there anyone here that would like, yes, and the opportunity to ask a
Jennifer?
question
Yep,
about the
Jennifer.
course? Yeah. So we've got Anne.
Yep. And Jennifer raised her hand. Jawan.
Yeah. So, Anne, would you like to ask any questions? Oh,
Or
no.
anyone that put up their hands. Anyone that put up their hands about the course itself. And I reckon some of our current students could answer your questions. Leanne raised her hand. Yeah. You got a question, Leanne? Yep.
Yeah, can I ask a question? I've actually finished the course, but I
Okay.
never actually enrolled yet with the Attorney General. Is there a time
registration?
limit on that?
Yeah,
No.
what's the time?
No. Whilst you hold the current certificate for celebrancy, you can apply at any time. So could I just ask everyone to unmute? We've got some background noise happening there. Thank you. So all you have to do when you're ready to apply is go onto the AG's website and just check that your course certificate is still current, and you can go ahead and apply. And that 41015, it doesn't look like changing anytime soon. So there's no rush. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
So yeah. So
Right.
you're still current, but we can't recommend that they won't change it. ASQA, the governing body, won't change codes all of a sudden. Or no, they gave us quite a bit of notice, and then there's usually like a good 6 months where you can change
and
over.
AG will put that on the website if there happens to be a course change. They'll take the old one for quite, maybe 6 months to a year after the new one comes out too. But you just need to double check everything.
Keep checking in on the AG's website at all times. It's how many weddings would you expect to conduct per year? Generally, look, you can do that's a hard question to answer, but I mean, Jean doesn't.
How much time have you got?
Yeah.
You could potentially do one every weekend. That would be 52 weeks of the year. I would average between probably 48 to 60 weddings a year, and I'm working full time. So yeah, it depends how busy you are. How much do you want to do? How much energy can you put into it? How much time can you put into it?
I mean, as you saw from Jules, like she decided to keep her job. It's a fairly high powered job. She gets a good income from it, so she didn't want to like throw it all away and just like take that leap of faith totally into celebrancy. But she's able to make a killer income on the side, which is what a lot of people do. Some people want to build up a wedding empire. Some people want to use it as a part-time income. Some people just want to marry family and friends. Everyone's going to have a different journey and a different path, but it's one of those ones where, as she said, she made her money back off the first maybe one or two weddings, and more. So
I think, Nate, I made a statement to you a couple of weeks ago that I wasn't going to do so many weddings this year. Yeah. That I was just, going to pace it.
Yep. Yeah, Jean had a limit. She told at the start of this, she said, I'm only going to do X amount this year. And I think whatever it was, I won't say. And she's almost surpassed it. Yeah. So she can take the rest of the year off.
So you whatever you want to do, it's limitless. I know celebrants in the area that I work in are doing ceremonies 5 days a week. I don't mean Monday to Friday, but I'm saying they're doing, up to 5 ceremonies a week because they're working in some of those venues that have a wedding on every day. So entirely up to you.
Yeah. On average, how long does the application period take with the AG's office? Oh my gosh. So that's completely out of our hands, and we hate even talking about it because, sometimes it can make us some that don't understand that there's not a relationship there between RTOs, us training providers, and the AG in a way that we can force them to hurry up. But we do. Jean goes to meetings every year where she pushes. 2 meetings a year where she pushes them to get a move on. And it was a big discussion around it recently, but it's government. They say 3 to 6 months. We're finding that it's the latter side of it more. The 6 months more than 3 months. No more than that. Yeah. Definitely, they're not allowed to go beyond that.
I can jump in on that one. Sorry, it's 5 months so far.
Yeah, 5 months for you.
You're waiting. Yes.
So, good news for you, Astra, is that it's not long yet because they will not go past 6 months. They're not allowed to go past 6 months.
No, they can't. Yeah.
Unless they would have had to get back to you. Yeah, they would have had to get back to you by now and said, this is missing, whatever. So, fingers crossed. We're absolutely right on that, but they're adamant they can't go beyond 6. So you're almost there. You're almost registered.
I
know. So exciting times. I'm not
Jennifer.
sure.
Jennifer's asking a question. Yeah.
Hi there.
Jennifer?
I have been sent the package in terms of the training, but I haven't had a chance to review it. Could you please just very quickly explain the 4 different packages? So the platinum and the Zoom.
Yeah, just nutshell, Jean.
Yes. Okay. The 4 different ways you can do the course. Is that my understanding? All right. So you can do a Zoom 5-day course, Monday to Friday. I'm about to start one next Monday. You can do the evening course.
Sorry, cut in, Jean, just so there's clarity. That's not the time that you complete the course. That's like a Kickstarter.
No, that's
5 days of
upcoming.
classroom.
Yeah. Okay, that's a kickstart. Yes, sorry. So that's a 1-week kickstart, and then you've got the rest of the year to complete the course. It's also delivered on in 3 weeks over 3 evenings: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And of course, once you've completed those 3 weeks of 3 evenings, so 9 evenings, then you'll continue to work independently throughout the course. There's a Saturday workshop, which again is on Zoom, as is the evening one, and that's a 5-day Saturday workshop. And again, at the end of the 5th day, you have the foundation, building blocks to allow you to continue on for the rest of the duration of your course. And then, of course, you have online, where you're working independently online.
Cool. We do find that those that participate in face-to-face, and or if not that, if you can't afford that higher option, make sure they come to every drop-in that they can. Webinars like this. You get so much more out of it, and you get through your course, with a lot more efficiency, I think. Just even being in the environment where you're talking to.
Yeah, and we do those drop-ins, Jennifer, on a Wednesday evening and a Thursday. They are free. You can pop in and just see who else is on the course. You can pop in and ask questions. We always have a topic, each one of those, just a particular topic that might be of interest each week. The next week's one will be to prove date and place of birth. It's a passport or a birth certificate. To prove ID, it's a driver's license or a passport, does both. And the stat deck is only where it's impossible. A lot of students are starting to say, I need a birth certificate, a passport, or a stat deck. Stat deck, for anyone that's in the middle of that, is only where it's absolutely impossible. Sorry, Jennifer, that probably doesn't mean much to you now, but we just pick a topic each week that Mark will chat about in those sessions. Yeah.
So in other words, you never, even though it's an online course, you are never alone. If you're feeling like I'm doing this all on my own, you're not taking advantage of us enough. Take advantage of us in a good, maybe I've said that wrong. That's not a euphemism for anything, all right?
Yeah.
But take advantage, in other words, take advantage of what's on offer, the drop-ins, the webinars, those sorts of things.
Yeah. And yes, we do these webinars once a month with a topic that might be of interest. So
yeah, awesome. Look, I know you have to get to a phone call, Jean.
I do, yes. I've got a simulated call. Yeah.
But we got maybe can answer one more question. Sorry, if you've asked the question on the Q&A and we haven't got to it, I apologize profusely, but please send an email to us, contact. Mark is your primary student support for those that are students. If you're not a student yet but have questions, so how's the best way is just to contact the office.
Sales,
they'll pass you on to sales. They'll pass you on to Ben or Minna, who are absolute superstars, great at listening and hearing your story and answering your questions. Otherwise, Jean and I are here to hear from you as well.
And there's a Q&A tonight, and there's a Q&A tomorrow at midday.
Yes.
For students,
For tonight
is Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. Mark will do a Q&A tonight.
Okay, yes. I'm trying to choose between going to pickleball or watch my son play basketball.
Guys, what time tonight?
6 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Queensland time.
Yes. Queensland time, Shay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Shay Brewster, Punky Brewster. That was a favourite show of mine when I was younger. Showing my age. But yes, thanks for a great session from Rose. Was hoping to have my question answered, but didn't have time to wait. Sorry, Rose. I'm sorry that we didn't get to that. But please, again, send us a message. And do you have Q&A about the funeral course, again, send us a message and we'll send you all the information. I have personally just updated the funeral course. Really proud of it under
it's awesome.
Under the advice of Jean. And
I'm training the funeral course as well.
Yeah, it's another thing to add to your belt, I reckon, as a celebrant, is to be able to do funerals, because there's actually quite a bit of money there, to be honest. Some people do it full-time funeral celebrancy. And Beverly says,
it's a good
folks.
supplement. Yeah.
Yeah.
And anyone that becomes a celebrant, you will eventually get asked to do someone's funeral. So be prepared.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being with us, guys, and thank you for all of those that stuck around to the very, 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 very end, beyond the hour, another half hour beyond the hour. As always, we appreciate you, and we look forward to speaking with you again soon at the next webinar. I
love those little red hearts that are going up. That's wonderful. I love it. Thank you.
It makes me. How do you do the?
Beautiful.
Ben's got a question for you, Nate.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks.